This will be a tutorial on how to use the Savage Soul generic shop generator, which can be a very handy tool for any game master because it allows you to create the sorts of shops that characters might find in little settlements where the choice of items to buy is not, it's not complete. It's just a matter of what happens to have come by and what the storekeeper happens to have in stock. So the generic shop generator was designed with that in mind, just sort of a random collection of items that characters might be able to buy in any given little shop. So to find the generic shop generator, go to savagesoul.com and click on character generator, and then you will see the generic shop generator, which should always be up to date. When you click on it, it will open in Google Sheets, and this will not be a live version of the generic shop generator. What it is a view-only version, but what you have to do to use it is just make a copy, and this will copy it to your own Google Drive, and you can just save it as whatever shop you want. So for example, we might go with Birmingham General Store. If you click it, it will save a copy of the generic shop generator to your Google Drive. And now it is being saved as Birmingham General Store. You can then close the generic shop generator because you won't need that. Everything you need will now be on the Birmingham General Store generator. So generic shop is very easy to use. What you do, first thing, where it says store, there's a drop-down list, and these are all the various stores. Everything from miscellaneous to the junk name are stores that include multiple things. Like, for example, the weapons store is going to include melee weapons, ranged weapons, ammunition, etc. The blacksmith is going to include melee weapons and tools and certain supplies. The junk store is going to include lots of different supplies, including electronic and high-tech supplies, like the sorts of things that might show up in a junk shop, in addition to vehicle supplies. So basically, by choosing these different categories, you'll decide what sorts of things can show up in the shop. Miscellaneous represents essentially a pawn shop where any possible item might show up. It would just be whatever kind of thing a character came in and sold at the pawn shop. But just for fun, let's since we're creating the Birmingham General Store, let's say that we're going to go with General Store. And once we've selected the store, you'll see there's a reset column here. The reset column, when it is set to 1, will automatically generate the items in the store. And you'll see that not only does it automatically generate the items, it also automatically generates the quality of the items, and it shows you the quantity that's available in the store. The price that's shown would be for the full quantity that is listed. So, for example, 10 vegetables, 10 kilograms of vegetables would cost 50 credits. And but the character doesn't necessarily have to buy all 10 kilograms. He might only want to buy 5 kilograms, in which case it will calculate the cost of the actual amount of items that the character wishes to buy. If something were to show up that the GM doesn't think should be in the shop before he shares it with the characters, all you have to do is go to this column here, click 0, it will reset just that line, and then when you go back to 1, it will be something different. In theory. Yes. That was interesting. But, like, so for example, I don't want a hairbrush, so we'll reset it and it becomes a mess kit. Another way that you can use this column is if you set it to 0 and then drag the 0 all the way to the bottom, you can limit the number of items in the store. So for example, if this is like the smallest general store ever, and I only want there to be this many items, then I'll set all the rest to 0, and when I click that, it will generate that, and that is exactly what the characters will find in the store. If you want to restore it, just drag the ones back down to the bottom, and that's what you've got. Okay, so one thing to keep in mind is that you can't simply change the store without resetting it. So for example, if I were to try to do that, it gets a very strange result. If I reset it, now I get the results that I would have expected for an armor store. So the best thing to do usually is just reset, then change the store, and then repopulate. So the reason that there are 2 different columns is because a store might be a little more diverse than what any one of the individual store types would allow. So like for example, let's say the Birmingham General Store, it sells normal general store stuff, but it also sells guns and ammo. In which case I could populate this side and populate this side, and that's what the characters would find at the Birmingham General Store. If I think that they're going to have less guns and ammo than general store items, then perhaps I'll limit the number of items in the guns and ammo section. But what you can see here is that it creates a lot of flexibility as far as being able to design almost any kind of store. A few other features. If you change here where it says leadership, that is actually the character's haggling score. So of course normally that's going to be leadership, but it could also be modified by the merchant peculiarity. So for example, if a character had a 7 leadership and 2 levels of the merchant peculiarity, he would have a leadership of 12, and his prices would then be significantly lower. The prices are still going to show up normally here, but then when the character goes to buy them, it will calculate the actual price reduction based upon the character's haggling skill. So one other thing that's worth noting is there is a custom line where you can essentially define your own custom inventory. And the way you do that, it doesn't so much matter what number you plug in here, but whatever number you plug in, all the other items you plug in will be relative to that number. So for example, if I say that a giant axe has a availability of 2, and then I say that relative to a giant axe, a bathing suit is going to be much more common, then I might say a bathing suit has an availability of 20. And I could continue going down like this. Say there's buckets that have an availability of 10, and there are candy bars that have an availability of 50. Now, if I go back to the sheet and I reset, and then I select my custom store, I'm only going to get candy bars, bathing suits, and in this case, that's all that showed up. Although it would be possible for other things to show up, as we will see if we do a reset. Bucket showed up that time. And eventually we'll probably get it to show a giant axe. Although, relative to the other things we put in the store, a giant axe, as you can see, is quite rare. There's a giant axe. So we finally got one of the giant axes to show up in our random custom store. So that is it. That is how simple it is to use the generic shop generator. And it can be very useful. Once you save your, well, it'll auto-save because it's Google Sheets. But once your generic shop is saved, you can then just share the generic shop with your various players on a view-only permission, and they will be able to see everything that's in the store, tell you what they want to buy, and you will be able to modify it on the live sheet. So having it on Google Sheets makes it very easy to share this with your other PCs if you don't want to just show them your particular screen. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I'm hoping you're enjoying playing the Savage Soul. Thank you for watching.